Hi, it's Malcolm here and welcome to another PR ratings video. And in this video we are going to look at a shared system called BTE again BPL, and it was put into the system on the 9th of the 3rd of 2022. So I've changed the date range to the 9th of the 3rd 2022 to today. So if we look down at the results, we can see that when it was first added, it had a couple of good months, and then it went down. But the last 2 months, it's come back up, so it's not been that bad. And so why would I kind of include this in a kind of make it better scenario video? So first of all, shared systems, just in case you don't know, shared systems are what users can share in PR ratings. So in effect, you can create a system, save it, and then you can share it with other people. And then other people can take that system and then either run with it, watch it, they can save it to their own saves, watch it, or even try and improve it with the knowledge that they have about system creation. So, you know, some people come along and they create systems first of all, and that's the great thing about PR ratings. It allows people to do that. But sometimes people with more experience can then go in and say, well, okay, I know that if I add this in, it might improve it, or if I do this, it might improve that system. And that's how it works. Now, BTE is normally the signature of Michael or Mickey. So I'm presuming this is one of his systems. And it's a place system. And he's used 6 to 13 runners. That's declared, not actual runners, because you don't know what the actual runners are until the race goes off. So we use declared runners in PR ratings. A couple of time-in parts, BTE, which is better than expected, and some of the MRS rankings, which is my own rating, to create the system. So if we have a look at the system, you can see that it actually hasn't done that bad. I mean, since it's been in, it's made 106 points profit. It did have a couple of losing months, which was probably a bit unnerving, but if you've made 48 or even 80 points beforehand, if you did follow it from the start, then they wouldn't have been too much of a concern. But then it's kind of come back the last 2 months, and we've got an average now of 17.71. It's not particularly high, Roy, but this is a place market, so you wouldn't expect it to be that high. And a strike rate of 52%, so just over half, and 106 points. So why would I kind of do a video that's going to try and improve this system on a system that most people would be quite happy with? I mean, at £10 stakes, that would be, you know, £170 a month, or over £1,000, since this one system out of hundreds in PR ratings has made money. So the reason why is because I just like to do it, and it's kind of helps with showing other users the kind of things that go through my mind when I'm looking at systems and whether I think they can be improved. Now, I can't say for sure it can be improved, and the minute you change it, obviously you've got to start thinking about retesting because I've changed something. But at the same time, what we're really doing is analysing certain parts of the system. So, you know, you could argue that it should be all right. So the first thing I always do is look at the race types. Now, you can do it by unticking and just going through each one, or you can use the race type quick analyze, which will come up. So you can see here that actually, if you take it, and this is actually true of a lot of systems, is it works better on some race types than others. So in this particular case, you can see straight away that it works better on flat and AW than it does. I mean, hurdles has got a reasonable strike rate, and so is NHF, but there's no profit there. So let's just deal with AW and flat first of all. So we'll change that. So we untick that and take those two and see where that leaves us. Okay, so we've only now got one losing month. We're now up to 21 points a month. So £210 a month or whatever. Our ROI's gone up a couple of percent as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this, so that we've got a base of where we are at this moment. So as we change things, we can see if it makes a difference. Now, you could argue, why change anything? Why not just carry on? I mean, you've only had one losing month, and that's true. There's no reason why you can't do that. And of course, as soon as we start changing things, we're in effect changing the system, and we really need to rethink it again or retest it. But in this video, I'm going to look at a couple of other things. And first one I'm going to look at is class. So the class tells us, sorry, PR rating's been a tiny bit slower today for some reason, that we want that strike rate to be certainly in the 50s. So if we look at this, we've got 50% here. We've got profit there. There's no reason why we shouldn't take class 3. But if we take class 4, 5 and 6, then our profit strike rates are higher. And basically we've had 160 races here just to make £5.65. So let's just take that and go for 4, 5 and 6 and see what difference that makes to the system. So we're just going to take 4, 5. Well, we'll leave it at 7. They're sometimes class 7s, but probably because of some of the other ratings that are being used, they're not coming up in this particular system. So if we go down, so let's have a kind of a compare with the two of them. So our strike rate's gone up to 55% now, and our longest losing run, I think you can just see that there, is 8, and then here it's 10. So we've improved the longest losing run. We've improved the ROI to nearly getting on for 10%, 9.17. Average winning odds have dropped slightly to 1.01, but we've made a bit more profit as well, 136, or at £10 stakes, 1,360 quid. Bearing that just because we've done those two things, it's not going to change the system too much. I mean, as I said, we are changing it in effect, but what we're really doing is dropping things out rather than changing ranges and stuff like that. I suppose you could argue it that way, but whatever happens, we're changing it, so it needs to be looked at. So should we do anything else? Well, let's have a look. So because we're now not doing, in fact, what we'll do is we'll take a new screenshot, because we kind of think this new system is better. So if we go down, this is the kind of way I do it. I kind of make notes as I go along, and we'll take that as a new screenshot. Okay, so we're going to have a quick look at BTE, because that's one of my favourites as well, to have a look at. What else is in here actually? What about, let's take all the runners out first of all. So we go 5 to 50 and just see what kind of difference that makes to the system. So in other words, we've kind of increased the range of races that we would be in. So right, so we have made more profit, and we haven't changed the longest losing run or anything. Average win odds has gone up, but the ROI's gone down slightly, but the profit's gone up. So, and our losing that month has gone down, but we didn't make much for the next month either. So this is kind of interesting. Do we go with that or not? The only thing, it has dropped the strike rate a little bit as well to 54%, but not by a great deal. I mean, we're talking about less than 1% on strike rate, and everything else is, apart from the ROI. So if ROI's your thing, you might want to go, but I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to take a new screenshot now. We'll leave that one alone, and we'll take a new screenshot. Sometimes when you create systems, you can automatically keep putting new filters in without going back. I always say to people, if you add a new filter and it makes a difference, and you've already got filters, take some of those out and see what difference it makes, because it might just be that you found a filter that it can work on its own. So I always like to go backwards with steps. You know, it's quite quick with PR ratings because we've got these quick analyze buttons on a lot of the filters. So basically we've got strike rates, and I don't think there's anything here that would really make a big deal of difference. I mean, you know, after that we're just talking about, I mean, we've got a loser on the 8, so if we could argue in some ways that we just stick to BTE of, say, I don't know, 1 to 7, 52, 52. We could start with just 3. Let's go for the 1 to 3 first of all and see what a difference that makes. Sorry if you heard my watch then. So 1 to 3. So what are we seeing here? So between the two of them, no, it's not really done. I mean, it's increased the strike rate, but you know, it's still not really made any difference. So we won't go with that. We'll go back to where we were as far as that's concerned. I'll just stick that up at 30. I don't think it can make any difference. I think we should be back where we were now, 14787. Yeah, so we haven't seen any difference there. I'll just check that MRS because we're using that as well. So that's interesting. MRS rank 2 is kind of lower. If you take 3 to 6, you've got that there. Let's get rid of 2 and go for 3 instead and see if that makes any difference. Rank 3 on my rating system, which is kind of made up of a lot of different things about horses, so it's quite interesting. Oh, that looks interesting. So, well, this is going back to whether, you know, you like Roy better than you like points. And so we've lost a few points, but we've gained a massive Roy. So look at the results then. Okay, and so we've dropped a little bit in profit. There's no doubt about it. But if you look at it, we've got rid of that losing month. So, yeah, I mean, that might be something that is of interest to you. I mean, the ROI of 12.69, I think that's okay on the place market. I think that's probably pretty good. But on, yeah, so as far as everything else is concerned, we've got a better strike rate. The other thing that I haven't mentioned is the highest bank drawdown is now only 17.7, where it was 25 with that one. And I didn't know what it was like on the original, but anyway. So I think overall, this system would be this version of the system would be the better one. So I'm going to go with that. Shall we let this video go on much longer? Let me take a screenshot of this. Sorry, I'm going up and down, making you feel a bit sick, I expect. But if we take a screenshot of that one, so yeah, this is looking quite interesting now. So where do we go next? And this is always the interesting thing, is that you can have a look. So we could bring in like tipsters. We could bring in, what else should we bring in? Now let's bring in a draw, because obviously this is a because this is AW and flat now, there's going to be draws. Let's see if there are any draw biases in the results. That's always interesting. It's always a difficult one to be with, because when you really deal with draw, you should be dealing with distance as well, because a draw bias probably will be more effective at certain distances if there is one. So let's have a look. Where are we with draw? Oh, over here. Okay, so are we seeing any? Well, again, ignore those zeros. I know where they come from. So draw one. I don't know. I mean, it's hardly worth really thinking about. I don't think we should probably worry too much about it. I'd 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 ignore it, to be honest with you. I don't think we'd go there. The other thing we could look at, I suppose we could look at BSP rank, but I always don't like looking at that one really because, well, if we went for the top 3 ranks, you can see the strike rate's a lot higher. Let's just see how that affects it. It's hard to do. I mean, generally you've got to do it manually when you go for ranks. We're trying to get the Grail spot to be able to do it properly, but at the moment we haven't done that. Yeah, I mean, if you go for ranks, then it makes an awful lot of difference. So that if you only stick to the first 3 runners in the race, now you have lost points, but you've gained on Roy, you've gained on strike rate, you've gained on longest losing run, so it's only 6 instead of 8. The highest bank drawdown is down a little bit, of course, but you've lost a bit of profit. But everything else is pretty cool. If you don't mind the loss in profit, which is a little bit, it's 20 points, equivalent to £200. But you know, and you can stick to finding the top 3 ranks when you look at the system. So there's something that you could look at. I'm not going to include it this time, but it's there in case you want to. And what else can we look at? Maybe one other one. Last time out, maybe. Let's have a look and see if that makes a difference. I don't kind of always like that one as a well, actually quite funny enough, favourites stick away from first last time out. That's really funny, isn't it? I mean, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, there's a bit of odd ones here and there that don't make a profit, I suppose, but I suppose if you stuck to, say, but let's go second to fourth last time out and see what happens with that. I mean, second to fourth, I think it's going to drop profit. I don't know what it'd do to everything else. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's bound to drop profit, we know that. So Roy's gone up to 20%, if that's interesting to you. 1.8 average winning odds. We've lost 20 points. 12, 26. Obviously a better strike rate. Longest losing run. Highest bank drawdown's gone back down to 8.91. So again, that could be something you prefer. It all depends on how you prefer, whether you just prefer profit, which a lot of people do, or if you prefer to get the most out of your money, and so you're going to go with Roy instead. In that case, you know, that's better, and you're not losing an awful lot of points based on what we've seen so far. So I don't know. Let me just go handicap and non-handicap. Let me just have a quick look at that before we finish. It's always interesting just to have a look. So handicap, yeah, 16 points, 5 longest losing runs, so that's quite good. Roy and everything. And then if we go to non-handicaps and just see what that brings up, probably, I don't think it would affect racing too much, but let's have a quick look. So really there's no real point in, I mean, the strike rate's high, Roy's high, so yeah, leave them both in by the looks of it. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. There are some changes you could make to this system if you want to, and I hope this has given you some more insight on how I look at systems and how I try to decide how I'm going to use them. Okay, thanks for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, give me the likes and thumbs up, that kind of thing. If you subscribe and then hit the bell icon, then you'll hear about new videos as they come out. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.